Good Sunday morning, Northeast Ohio, on this Memorial Day weekend. A time set aside to remember those who died in service to our country and the sacrifices still made today by their families as we enjoy time with ours. At the State House in Columbus this week, Governor Mike DeWine presiding over a wreath-laying service at Veterans Plaza. DeWine was in the U.S. Senate during the start of the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan and spoke of the families he met at that time who lost a son, husband, or father. So many of them from Northeast Ohio. Here's a reminder of what this weekend's about.
President Theodore Roosevelt perhaps put it best when he said, and I quote, "Their blood and their toil, their endurance and patriotism have made us and all who come after us forever, forever their debtors." We are indeed in their debt, as we will never be able to repay these Ohioans, these courageous Ohioans, for their service. They lived their lives well, with great purpose and commitment, and yes, love of family and love of country. And for that, I will remember each of them until I die.
And a list of parades that will be going on across Northeast Ohio tomorrow can be found on our News 5 app. Well, to say this was a huge week for Northeast Ohio would be an understatement. The city, twice the bridesmaid to host the NFL draft, found out that after Las Vegas next year, we will be the ones on the clock as the host city for the 2021 NFL Draft. This week, those behind the push gathered in Public Square for a bit of a victory lap. On Public Square, they gathered in celebration, an off-season victory for the Cleveland Browns and a transformational victory for the city of Cleveland.
To see this reception of this community out here, their feelings for the Browns, their feelings for the city, that's what this is all about.
During the Rock Hall inductions last year, a team from the NFL was on hand to see how Public Hall would function as a massive TV studio for the draft. But as you can tell by what we saw in Nashville last month, public interest may have pushed Public Hall out of the mix.
You're going to need a bigger boat.
So where might the main stage be? Good question. That'll be the NFL's choice.
In Nashville, our understanding is, they change the location of the stage multiple times over the year because it keeps growing, it keeps changing. What they know is they have a great palette here, and we've guaranteed the palette to them.
Look for the malls above the Huntington Convention Center to play a huge role in the city's planning, along with Public Square, the Rock Hall, and of course First Energy Stadium, as record crowds are expected. The numbers out of Nashville last month are almost beyond belief, setting NFL draft records for economic impact, direct spending, as well as overall attendance. Of those 600,000 people, 54% of them said they came from out of town, staying in hotels for an average of 2.8 nights. That gave Nashville in April its third best month ever for hotel rooms sold.
In terms of hotel rooms, it'll be a lot bigger than RNC.
And it's important to note that without the RNC, a lot of what we're seeing going on right now in terms of the All-Star Game or the NFL Draft probably never happens because it forced us to not only talk about our future, but to actually build for it. They were 7 words uttered 5 years ago.
The Republican National Committee has chosen Cleveland.
That set the stage for a period of dramatic growth for Cleveland, a growth that had begun on a smaller scale over the previous decade. With a show to put on, Cleveland had to be ready. Delays were not an option. So we saw the renovation of Public Square, a number of new hotels, and the opening of a new state-of-the-art convention center.
If you build it, they will come.
It since has seen a slow but steady increase in business.
Conventions are booked 1, 2, 3 years out, 4 years out. You can't start up the business and have a sale tomorrow. You sell tomorrow, but you're not going to have the event for maybe 2 or 3 years. So that's been a challenge going forward. But as we go, we're 4 years into it now, and now we're starting to see the benefits of all this.
The big conventions you may notice. The vast majority of gatherings, though, you will not.
First quarter of this year, we had 97,000 people through here. We had 53 events. We're going to do about 250 events this year.
Those conventions do 2 things. They fill up hotels and restaurants, and they get a lot of people to Cleveland for the first time. And the research has shown the perception they come to the city with and what they find here are 2 totally different things.
By a large measure, the most important thing we could do in changing someone's perception about Cleveland is getting them here.
That's because for years, the city was the constant butt of late-night jokes.
So people who've never been here, they don't think the best of us. When they come here, they see what it is for itself, and it's dramatically different.
This RNC delegate, a prime example. I asked him about what he thought he'd see and what he found.
Big industrial factories and smokestacks. I'm from Los Angeles. Anything east of San Bernardino is industrial. This is beautiful. What a town. And these museums. I can't wait to come back and bring my kids.
That's why the city went for the RNC, not for the 1 week of business, but to change the narrative. Successfully pulling it off was the bonus.
When we are now going after events like the NFL Draft, some of the biggest events a community can host, the fact that we hosted the RNC and the fact that we hosted extremely successfully has played a big role in our ability to continue to get those kind of events because they know we've done it and they know we know how to do it.
Often overlooked in all this is this place, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. It's a selling point in luring those big events, and it also is, in and of itself, a big event, attracting consistently more visitors than the Baseball and Football Hall of Fames combined.
We now host almost 600,000 visitors a year at our museum, and those visitors have an economic impact of $200 million to the Northeast Ohio community.
That is nearly $200 million in economic impact annually. That's $349,000 a day on hotels, restaurants, and the like, with 80% of those visitors coming from out of town, many for the first time, leaving as ambassadors of a new Cleveland. And the MLB All-Star Game this summer, the next best chance for us to recruit a few more. With Democracy 2019, I'm John Kosich. Enjoy your Sunday.